How do you keep doing it?
I do my job. You want to play there's good guys and bad guys. And I'm one of the bad guys. But I give these men respect, Marty. All the way through.
This is one of the most powerful and affecting films I've seen this year. And Chinoya, you know, this is a fictionalized tale, but the truth reverberates throughout the film. Tell me what led you to this story.
It really started in September 2011 when Troy Davis was executed. And Troy Davis is a Black man executed in a Georgia state prison. And leading up to his execution, hundreds of thousands of people around the world were protesting against his execution, including a handful of retired wardens and directors of corrections. And those wardens and directors band together and urged the governor for clemency, not just on the grounds of Troy's potential innocence, but they spoke to the emotional and psychological consequences they knew killing Troy would have on those sanctioned to do so. So the morning after Troy was executed, I just became obsessed with the question, what must it be like for your livelihood to be tied to the taking of human life? And that was really the impetus of Clemency.
An extraordinary thing. I wonder, were you able to speak to wardens that had served on death row and hear their experiences?
I did. I did, and so much more. I spoke to a lot of those wardens and directors of corrections who wrote the letter and urged for clemency. I was living in New York City at the time, and then I decided to move to Dayton, Ohio, and I volunteered on 14 clemency cases. I created a women's prison I created a film program in a women's prison where I taught incarcerated women to make their own short films from script to screen. I talked to dozens and dozens and dozens of wardens and directors of corrections and men who are on death row and men and women who are incarcerated serving a variety of sentences, and chaplains and activists and organizers. And this was over a period of 4.5, 5 years. And all of that informed the writing and the research and the making of the film.
Alfre, tell me about the experience of reading this script for the first time. What went through your mind?
Well, I had spoken to Chinoya and to our producer, Bronwyn Cornelius, so I knew what they wanted to say with the film. I knew that it was seeing people that we had never seen before on screen and probably not in real life. And those are the stories that I'm most attracted to and the people's voices I want to bring forward, because we need to hear everyone before we make decisions. And so I was already on board, you know, just meeting this young woman and knowing her sincerity and her commitment. And but we still set out to make a piece of people's art. We're both activists, but if you are an activist, that is something separate when you are a storyteller. And that's what it was. We had to make sure that we were translating that into the people's story. As an actor, you know, you're supposed to stay out of the way of a character. You find who they are, be able to look at the world out of their eyes, get rid of the way you move, the way you think, and your gait. But especially when you knew people's lives were depending upon you telling an honest story, your work is simple. And so it became with Chinoya and Eric Branco and our entire crew. Everybody came to it for that same reason, was that we knew it was a story that must be told, because you can't decide whether you're pro or con death penalty until you know the full, all of the ingredients that are laid out on the table. And this young woman put it down on the page in a way that made everybody say, I'll go, it's gonna be tough. We're gonna be aching inside, but I'll go.